My name is skulK. I'm hosting a couple of interviews, one with y'all and then one with Glowzy later. So yeah, welcome to Peak. Stoked that you could perform tonight. Could y'all introduce yourselves for the audience?
My name is Kamilah, and I am part of TUSH.
And I'm Jamie, the other part of TUSH.
Awesome. I actually heard that y'all met through a Craigslist ad in 2017. So
Yes.
I'm curious, how has the band changed since then? And what was that experience like?
A lot.
Yeah, like being meeting through a Craigslist ad and kind of evolving from there.
We were just talking about this.
We were just talking about this, the early days. I think it was actually 2016, or was it 2017?
The ad was 2016.
Yeah, okay.
In a roundabout way, we met through Craigslist.
I actually wasn't a part of that process initially, but that was a previous band named Mainline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that group was not at all what it is now. We're the only, technically, I'm the only original member from that, but really it's just us. But there used to be like 7 people.
Okay.
And we used to perform covers. And so it was like a very different creative direction from what has manifested since, including a rebrand as TUSH, and everyone except for me and Jamie is no longer in the group.
Yeah.
It was a reckoning, skulK. It was a reckoning.
Oh, okay.
And it was a tight band. It was not like commercial covers, but rare groove covers. And
Yeah.
I think we enjoyed it for the short period, and then we felt like we outgrew it. We wanted to write original music. And
Yeah.
eventually that just, branching off seemed like the best option. So, yeah.
Dope. Well, excited to see y'all perform tonight.
Yeah.
Your last album, Fantast, was released in 2021. Can you tell me, as well as the audience, when can we expect a new project coming or some new music?
Tonight.
Ayo.
We're playing new music tonight.
True.
We've been testing out a new project that we've been working on, and so it is imminent. We just need money.
Know that feeling as artists. But
It's there, but we gotta market it now.
Yeah.
But there are a series. There's a good handful of new songs that we're feeling really good about. So I mean, maybe.
And they're mostly there. And
they're like pretty much done,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could come out, but there's the visuals to make, which are underway. Maybe the end of this year, probably next year.
Okay. So,
But we're playing it now.
we're hoping for this year.
Yeah,
Definitely.
really want to drive it for this year. This year.
okay, awesome.
We definitely try not to cut any corners, and involve many friends from our community, and so we take the time to record things properly and just make sure it's like it feels right and that it's a really authentic message that we want to put out there. Yeah.
Yeah, ready when it's ready, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It takes time to make good art.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Some of our songs I
sometimes
wrote.
it's just so efficient.
Yeah, sometimes
Yeah,
they
some
go quick.
songs always come quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get grandiose ideas of what we want to add to them. And those are the parts that take longer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we've changed that for this project, I
Yes.
think. Considering Fantast was like 5 years worth of songs, this is half of that time. So we're trying to trust the process a bit more of just like first thought, best thought, and pushing with that idea to just get things out and not dwell on it for so long that it has to be perfect and all those pieces.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I think we're gonna take a question.
Oh, yeah!
A question
love
from
that.
the chat. And it's actually a pretty great question. Is disco actually dead?
Never has been dead.
No.
White people just made that up.
Yeah.
I encourage the person who asked this question to search out Disco Demolition Night in 1979. And for a bit of like context and history of where that phrase disco is dead came from, it's actually extremely the history of that phrase is tied to like a deep example of racism that was occurring, racism and homophobia and queerphobia, transphobia, and it's quite fascinating in like a disturbing way. But if you search that up, you'll see it never died. It just went back.
Went underground.
Yeah, it just went back to its original communities of like queer Black and brown people, where it has always resided.
It went underground. It went to Chicago, and then it just rebirthed its house music. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So like also to the question asker, it's like how 90s house is very in right now. So I'd argue disco is actually extremely of the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. That's very interesting, and I will be researching that as well because I did not know that.
Yeah, it's an interesting history.
It happens with so many great genres, right? They bubble up in the underground. They garner some popular support. Then suits in business, and white folk want to get in there and commodify it as quickly as possible, and then the culture all gets sucked out of it, and it gets mass marketed and you know, mass produced, and that often destroys the genre. And yeah, you can name countless genres that's happened too. Yeah. But usually in some ways the best thing happens though. The sound goes back underground and it connects to its roots again, and that's often where the more interesting things happen.
Yeah, I totally agree. Right. Yeah. I might actually have one more question. If there's one more question in the chat, I can go for one more. I still have 5 minutes. So.
Love that there's questions in the chat. That's the best.
Let's see. They didn't want me to scroll, but I will scroll. Question. What do y'all think about Beyonce and Renaissance?
Great question. Great question. Complicated feelings on it. Agreed. I think, like, I don't really have any one particular answer. I think it's great that because Beyonce is Beyonce and has the position and celebrity status that she does, I think it created I think for a lot of, like, young Black folk coming up, they wouldn't have ever had the experience of seeing dance music and electronic music as a Black genre, despite the fact that it was created by Black people. Yeah. So for many purists, and like I fall in and out of that category, I think they're like, this isn't real house, this isn't real disco, but it provides an entry point for people to be like, oh shit, like... There's this entire history I can get into because she sampled, greats and had ballroom in there and house. So like, there's so much there to dig into and then like start this rabbit hole. So that's what I'm hoping, has happened by shining that light on that.
Agreed.
Yeah. And like, some of the tracks are great. Like there are some that are like, it's not a bad album.
The production is excellent on it. Yeah. And I don't want to use the term a purist, but I think from a head, somebody who's listened to the music for several decades, and again, I don't want to say negative thing about it, but my only opinion about it is like some of the sounds and samples and the cover clips in it are a little bit cliche, just in the fact that they're played a lot or we've heard them a lot in the house music scene. But again, I don't really fault that. I think like Kamilah was saying, if it's going to pull more people in,
that's good.
That's a good thing. For sure.
Don't come for me, Beehive, please.
Yeah, I know. You have to be really careful.
See our Instagram right now. They're wrong.
And she was really great getting certain people involved.
Yeah.
Like Honey Dijon. Produced a few of the tracks with Luke Solomon from the UK, and she also had Honey Dijon open up for a bunch of dates on the tour.
Oh, that's dope.
And Big Frida was on again. So like there was tons of homage, and like it's such. Yeah, I think the Bennett there. Yeah, that critique of being
the positives outweigh the negatives.
Exactly,
100%.
that's what I'm trying to say.
For sure.
Sure, you can critique, but that's really just coming from a subjective, perspective of that music. Of like, is it real? Is it not? But it's an entry point, and it was fun and great music. So.
And it seemed like she was doing it from an authentic place. Like it wasn't, she wasn't trying to cash in or anything like that. So.
Yeah,
just a love for the culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Good question. Yeah, the emoji eyes.
Yeah.
Is that safe for the Beehive?
Okay, awesome. Well, I think that's pretty much time. Like there's like 1 minute left, so
cool.
I guess I'll just pass it off. But thank you so much for taking the time to come down here. Definitely get the barbecue joint. That is probably the best thing I ever. Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was
Me too.
The beef.
I got
mac
the
and
beef and
cheese?
potatoes.
Potato?
Yeah.
I did the same.
Yeah. Oh.
Beef and
I did the
potatoes.
same.
Okay, dope. All right.
All right.
All right.
You got the mac and cheese.
Yes, mac and cheese was amazing.
All right, then.
Bye.
Later. Thanks for the questions. That was fun.